Hey everybody, I'm That One Guy, and I wanted to create a series of videos to go over the Weakauras I've created. The whole purpose of the Weakauras is obviously to help you better understand your spec and hopefully help you play better as a result, but also to gamify the game. Because WoW does present you with some spell alerts for the specs you play, but not all. And so that leaves you looking for ways to identify if a certain buff or debuff is active. And that's where Weakauras can come in play. And I wanted to do more than just have an icon with a timer in it, right? I wanted to try to present you with visual effects that make it feel more like a video game and immerse you more into the spec you're playing. At least that's the idea. So in these videos, I'm going to go over the Weakauras I've created, how I intend for them to work, and show you how you can modify them if you'd like. So whether you've already found my Weakauras, or you're looking for some for a certain spec, or you just want to have a better idea of how Weakauras work in general, hopefully these videos will help you with that. Assassination Rogues, or Sin Rogues. This is the last of the set of 3 that I have to make for all of my Weakauras to be done, starting with, like I said, the Rogues. So this is with Sin Rogue, and we'll just go ahead and see what I have. I hope what I've done is, for this and the other 2 specs, is up to par. So we'll just see. Again, that would be everything. I'll explain it all so it all makes sense, and then you have an explanation for it, and show you how to move or change things if you like. This is just the general rogue stuff, right? Your energy, there's a tick mark at, I believe, this is where you'd go to change it, is down in display on tick. There's at 40, just because it seems like on sub and outlaw and assassination that 40 energy seems to be where you can't use any more abilities. Energy is, I don't think, is a very fun component of specs in the game, but not my choice on what they use to play with. Combo points, just have it set up. It'll always only show 1 right here on your screen, and then as you get more combo points, the rest of them will show. The unique thing I did, I guess you can say, is that at the 5th combo point will be greenish, and then the 6th combo point is red, and then when it's 7, assuming you're talented into taking up to 7 combo points, they all turn red. Because I saw for assassination, a lot of things were when you have 5 combo points, that's why I made it green. For sub, it was when you have 6 or more combo points, so that's why that one turns red. And then obviously you want to know if you're at max or capped, so they all start out gray like that. The 5th one by itself is green, the 6th one by itself is red, and when you have max stacks of your combo points, when you're capped out, they all turn red. Supercharger, not going to show right now, but you'll just have the same supercharger icon. Again, the same stuff that shows up down here, I'm just putting it where I want to be looking, right? Everything I try to do is going to be up here. Cold Blood is these skulls. When it's on or off cooldown, it's right there. If you need something else to make that more visible, can definitely make it larger, move it, add a background to it, but I've just noticed I can, again, I'm glancing all in this general area, I know when abouts it's coming up. Could also do what I've been doing for lots of things, and either just make that a button that shows when there's 10 seconds or less on that cooldown, or do a little circle behind it that shows the cooldown of it. I've been getting more into that, and then using other textures to show that the cooldown is coming back up. Rupture, when below, I want to say it's 9 seconds or so, or maybe it's 7, it will have that white glow around it, just to let you know to refresh it. That's supposed to be in its pandemic window. If you wanted to change when it does that, it's right here in conditions. The remaining duration is when it's less than or equal to 7 seconds, it'll have that glow. So if you want to change when it does that, 10, 11, 5, whatever you want it to be, you'd go in here to the conditions tab and you'd change that. That's it for like general rogue stuff. That's going to be in all of them. So you may end up with duplicates. If you have a general rogue 2 and 3, you just need the first one. I'll come back to the hero talents at the end. So, Deathmark, right? This is Deathmark. Just whenever it's off cooldown, that pops up on your screen. I could, again, add something that shows it filling like I've done for other specs when it is about to come off cooldown, but right now it just pops up and shows on your screen and lets you know that you have Deathmark and to use it. I think it looks cool. Kingsbane. This one has 2 things. 3 things. When it is off cooldown, it looks like that, right? When it is coming up off of cooldown, it's going to look like this. It's going to be desaturated, and it'll fill at the same time. It's because I clicked them separately. It doesn't stagger it like that. It'll fill white like that. And then obviously when it is off cooldown, so it fills white, and then when it's done, it turns green, so you know it's off cooldown. And then when it's active, again, visual feedback to let you know you pushed the button, it will have those red, and it's going to show up staggered because I clicked them separately, but it would go at the same time. So white to fill, letting you know it's coming off cooldown, green when it is off cooldown, and then red and decreasing when you have the buff active, letting you know how much longer is left on that. If you want to change how much time before it's off cooldown that these images show up, it's here in two places. Trigger, right? So this means when there's 5 seconds left on the cooldown, that'll start to show. And then the second thing is here in progress settings, minimum and maximum progress, just so that it does it correctly on its fill. So if you want that to be 7 or 3 seconds or whatever you want it to be, you can change the maximum and to whatever that number you want it to be is, 7 or 3, and then change the trigger here for remaining time to, again, whatever you want that number to be. So that's how this Kingsbane aura works, right? White to fill, to let you know it's coming off cooldown. Green means it's off cooldown. Red means you have the buff active. Shiv has a few things. One, just the charges, 1 and 2. So it could get tricky if you're ever not talented into the one where you have 2 shivs, but it'll show at least the 1. It just won't be symmetrical, and that will bother me. But so always talented into 2, just for symmetry's sake. And then that is the buff or the debuff you get from using shiv to let you know when to refresh it. Because again, on the guide, it was like basically make sure your shiv covers your Kingsbane window, so you'll know when to refresh it. Blindside, this is just the regular spell alert that Assassin gets to let you know that you can use your ambush even when you're not stealthed. I changed it to red because it was like that, just that orangish color, and with everything else that Assassination is about, I felt like there's lots of poisons and bleeds, so orange didn't fit with the color scheme, so I just made it red. It's the exact same thing as what you would see. It pops up for the exact same reasons. It's just red, that's all. If you want to change the color, if you're like, I really don't like red, I want it to be the original, it's in the displays tab, right? So see, I've clicked on Blindside in the display tab, and this is how you would change the color of any of these Weakauras, is in the display tab. If when you've clicked on it, this is just a singular color box, that means it'll change the color for everything in there. Sometimes some of my auras have different colors on the different things, so like there's multiple different textures inside this Shiv little mini pack, so changing its color is going to, it's not going to have a nice perfect, everything will change a little differently, so you'd have to change multiple different colors for Shiv. Whereas for this one, if you want it to be the regular color, you can unclick to saturate and move this back to white, which is the color code of just a bunch of Fs, right? And it would be that orange. Or if you just want a different color other than red, you can just click on that color and change it to whatever you want it to be. Maybe you want everything to be green, or you want this to be yellow or blue, or whatever color you want it to be, that's where you would do that. And if you notice at the end, it was turning white. That's because when there's 3 seconds or less left on the buff, the blindside buff, meaning you can use ambush, it turns white, just letting you know, hey, that's about to fall off. So things that I think should be included in Blizz's base spell alerts, just kind of something to let you know, other than a timer, visually that something's about to expire. My 2 cents. And then Crimson Tempest, right? You know, debuff you get from, or the debuff your targets get from applying Crimson Tempest, and it will glow. I set that to nothing. It just shows up. I can set a glow condition for it if you want to know a time to refresh it, but otherwise, you're just supposed to be using Crimson Tempest when you can inside your rotation, right? You know your own conditions for it. If you want me to set a condition for it to glow, I definitely can. Then Garrote. Just again, it has a few separate conditions, which is why you see all those flashing colors on there, and I'll explain what they do, and you can turn them off if you like. But otherwise, Garrote, when you apply that debuff, that bleed, another bleed, right, to your target, that shows up. And it has 2 separate conditions for the glows. The first one is when the remaining condition is 6 seconds or less, so inside that pandemic window, it glows white, similar to Rupture, so you know to refresh it. And this one is if you are talented into Improved Garrote, where 12 seconds after stealth, you can just keep using it without cooldown. That's why it glows green. So if you're talented into that and it's glowing green, that means you can keep using your garrote and spread it around, or similar for your rupture and spread it around. And then as soon as it's not glowing green, the buff has expired. So that's what that green glow is. If you don't like that, you can just delete that, right? Or change its color. The color of the glows is down here, glow 1 and glow 2, right? In the custom color. And you can even change its size, its frequency, the type of glow that it is. You can change a lot of stuff about it to fit it to your needs and what you like. But that's for all of the basic assassination Weakauras and what they do. The other things that remain is Deathstalker, where I made your Deathstalker's mark. So as that stacks up to 3, right after it stacks, or you get 3 and then you consume them. There we go. You get 3 and then you consume them. After you consume your third one, you get the Darkest Night. And I think these look kind of cool. If you want to change those to green or red so that they match kind of the theme of assassination, again, you can change the colors and stuff. But, I don't know, Deathstalker is supposed to be purpley shadowy, so they're purpley shadowy. So that shows up when you have the Darkest Night buff, which gets consumed when you have max combo points and use it on something. And then Clear the Witnesses, which doesn't have a nice thing seemingly to be tied into. So if you don't want to show that because maybe it sits on your screen for forever because you never really consume it, you can go to Load tab and check the Never box. And this is true for anything. You can check Never, right? And it won't show up on your screen ever. Or you can also just right click and delete it and it'll go away. But that is for the Clear the Witnesses buff that you get from Deathstalker. And if you're talented into Fatebound, you can have up to these 7 coins for heads, right? Letting you know you're going towards a lucky coin, or these 7 coins for tails. And so those will stack up 1 to 7 and 1 to 7. And then if you get to 7 in a row, you do get your lucky coin buff. And I put it up there because it's just a permanent thing that sits up there. So if you don't like that, because again, it can just be a permanent thing that sits there and that gets in your way, you can right click and delete, or again, go to the Load tab and check the Never box. Or you can move it around. Its position and size settings, you can change anywhere it goes. You can put it all the way up the screen. You can put it underneath your character. I just have it all the way up there on top, just so that other stuff fits underneath it and around it. But that's it for what the Assassination Weakauras look like and the hero talents. I'll just real quickly and very clunkily go through just kind of the base button pushing for Assassination so you can see how stuff pops up on your screen. Nothing will show on your screen until you enter combat, right? And then as soon as you enter combat, right, you start to see stuff. There's your death mark. When you use death mark, that goes away. When you use your shiv, right, 1 charge less, and now you have that shiv debuff active. The green dot means you're at 5 combo points, just another visual representation that, hey, you are at 5 instead of having to count. Your garrote, letting you know it was expiring. I know I don't have rupture active. There we go. I have 2 more death marks I could consume, and then when I use Kingsbane, right, it glows red, it turns red to let me know that I am using that one, that it is on, the buff is active, right? There is my blindside buff, there is my Darkest Night buff that I consume, and that's it, right? Like as you're playing through stuff, things will flash at you, things will glow. And see, I think you're Clear the Witnesses, unless you intend to use it, would just sit there for a minute. Rupture is going to expire. I'll quickly, there again, the green dot, letting you know that, hey, you have exactly 5. And if you get to exactly 6, it's 1 singular red dot. And if you get to max, they all turn red. So just visual cues to you as you're playing. Without having to count to figure out how many combo points you're on, you'll know. Green, red, or all red. It's 5, 6, and 7. Anything less than that is you can count 4. But it seems like most of the stuff, and that's what I'm talking about with Kingsbane coming up off cooldown. Ta-da! Right? That worked out. Most of the stuff seems like once you use it at 5 or more combo points, especially for Sen. The only thing that I am not tracking that you may disapprove of is Thistle Tea, just because I have that macroed into Shiv myself, because it says use it with Shiv, and even in the guide says macro to Shiv, but also because it'll just automatically use itself if you get below like 30% energy. So something that you're supposed to use with something else, but may also have charges just used automatically on its own. I didn't feel like tracking that. The other thing that I probably should, and we'll just need to figure out where it would go beautifully in the rest of these Weakauras, would be like your Vanish, right? Just so you know how many charges of that you have, and that might just be a button I put at the bottom, just so that you yourself can be aware of it and use that as you're supposed to rotationally. But that is it for the Assassination Weakauras. I didn't show what Fatebound is. This is all it would look like, and I didn't show the Garrote turning green, but it would, and I didn't show the Crimson Tempest debuff. But again, you can see it all. I just wanted to kind of show what it looks like as you're playing, and I like the combo points thing. I think I'm always a big fan of color visual representation to give you the information rather than you having to like count and figure it out yourself. So if there's anything I left out that you feel like absolutely has to be in this pack, let me know and I'll see if I can add it. Otherwise, I hope you like it and have fun. Again, I hope you found that helpful. I do intend to make a Weakura pack for every spec. So if I haven't made one for the spec that you play or that you'd like to see, just comment that down below. Again, I do intend to make one for every spec, but if I see people asking for it or really wanting one, I'll probably get to it quicker than if I just do it on my slow, leisurely pace. I hope it will enhance your gameplay. Like I said, it's all about gamifying the game and making it more fun and more immersive for you, while also helping you improve as a player because the information that you need to react to is hopefully more readily available. If you have any other questions about this Weakura pack that you just watched or any other ones, again, please feel free to comment. I try to be as interactive as possible in my YouTube section. And that's it. I hope you have a great day.